What's up, y'all? Scott Bass here with Paddle of Florida Keys. This is the second in our Everglades Challenge videos. I thought on this video I'd go over some of my routing and mapping ideas. Again, these are only the things that I found work for me. You may find something different, but hopefully if I can help some people out, not make the same mistakes I made, might be a good thing. So I thought I'd show you some maps and show you some of my other stuff and thoughts that go into how I route my race. So what I'm going to do is first show you my compass, because I kind of flashed that to you in the last one, but I wanted to show you a little closer up since we're right here with it. This is my compass. It's a deck compass, standard kayak deck compass. I got it tied to my bag so I can see which direction I need to go at all times. And I went and put a light. It's got a clear bottom, so I got this light, this little red light here. You just turn it like that and put it under there at night, and then it's gonna keep my compass lit at night. So that's a pretty cool little upgrade slash modification that wasn't too hard to do, and no more frustrating dark compass at night. Okay, first I want to talk about what maps I use. Personally, I prefer the Top Spot maps. These are a waterproof fishing map. You need 5 of them to do the entire race. And what I do is I mark them up a lot. So in other words, this is my first map. This is Tampa Bay area. Second map is Charlotte Harbor area inshore. Third map is 10,000 Island area. Fourth map is Everglades Park area. And the fifth map is Florida Bay and Upper Keys, okay? You can get these online from their website, and you can just order all these different sections. These are not the most detailed maps in the world. What I do like about them is that they don't have too much detail, but they have just enough. They've got all the major islands and everything marked out, so when you're paddling, they're real easy to refer to, and especially when you get in the Everglades and the islands start to blend together, you can actually see the different shapes of the islands on the map, and you can see that once you get a little bit more used to and accustomed to looking at the mangroves. You can see the depth and the different landforms, and that helps you to orient where you are. Like I said, I mark these up a lot. So I've got my start on here. I don't know if you can see that right there. And then I've got my angle to go for the first leg of the trip. Now, how did I get this angle? Well, this map has got a compass rose on it, just like every real map does. And what I did was I just simply took my phone and I downloaded the compass app on there. All right, let's see if I can find the compass app here. Let's see. So I downloaded this compass app, and then what I do is it'll tell me which direction is north, so I orient that with my compass rose on my map. All right, so I keep turning the map till it points north like that, and it's oriented north on the map. And then I just turn the compass around and I aim it towards the direction I'm going, and it tells me that I need to go 180 degrees, which is basically due south for the start. The start's not so crucial because you know, you're going to be there with a lot of the people, so you're not going to be alone at the start, so you can just kind of go along with the crowd. But I find that it's always nice to have kind of a compass point to go to if it's a big area, even if I know exactly where I'm going. You never know, there could be some fog in there or whatever. So especially with this Tampa Bay, you got the shipping channels and everything. You want to kind of be cautious of where you're going and conscious of where you're going at all times. So when I get to the bottom of the page, I've written the distance that I've traveled on that page to a certain point, which is that point right there, which is the actual dotted line, which is the page turning point. Then I also have A, which means when and it says to flip over. So when I flip the map over, I look for A coming in. A coming in. It says I've done 8¼ miles, and then I go along here and I also mark my tide areas. So I got a tide zone for this area here, so I got a big T there. We're going to go into the bridge, and we're just going to follow along the intercoastal. Now, you can go on the outside if you want. I find that it's less wavy on the inside, so I stay to the inside. As far as routing goes, a lot of that will be decided at the last minute for me, whether I go inside or outside. But I know for sure at this first part I'm going to be on the inside because it's just too flat and too easy. And we're also coming with an incoming tide, so we're going to have flow behind us the whole day. So it's going to be a nice down current ride through here. Be better than stay on the outside where you won't have any tide and you won't be able to take advantage of that extra boost that you'll get from the current. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And all along the trip, I've got different waypoints marked. Like I've got this bridge right here, this island right here marked at 25 miles. So I know that's 25 miles in. How do I know how far I've gone on my board? Well, I have my speedometer, my Mackay speedometer, and I'll show that to you in a minute. But I'll use that Mackay to tell me where to go. So now I get to the end of this leg here, and it says go to B, and I actually left myself an arrow to kind of help myself find the next map. You know, it's not so critical at the first part of the race, but later on you get dumb because you're so tired. So anything you can do to make it easier for you. I notated that there's a park right here. That's 35 miles in, Blackburn Point East Ramp. So for me, 35 miles, that's about like a 6-hour paddle. I mean, a 8-hour paddle. Yeah, 8 times 4, 32. Yeah, somewhere in the 8-hour paddle, maybe a 9-hour paddle there. So it's a good place to stop and take a break. All right. And then we're going to go on down, and we're going to go to Venice. Here's a place where you might pick up a little bit of time going on the outside if the current's not right, or if the wind is right. I would do that. But if I've got the current coming in and everything, then I probably would just take this. You know, thinking about if I've got high tide up here at the start, tide's coming in at the start, and I'm about 10 to 12 hours away, that means tide's going to be coming back in again pretty soon right here. So I may go ahead and stick in that intercoastal waterway through Venice. That's what I did last year, and it worked real good. So now from there to C, let's see, it says C, next map. It's always a lot of fun for me to turn over to the next map. This also means I've gone 45 miles on this map. So that's a big deal. You know, you want to track your way along. I've got it marked all the way down through. I'm not going to go over every map with you. Suffice to say that pretty much your routing is going to be something that you're going to have to choose for yourself. But like I said, get the top spot fisherman's maps. They're waterproof. When you get done, you can just hose them off and use them again. These are the ones I used last year, and the ones for Florida Bay and the Everglades I use all the time. These I don't use so much, but you want to have these in your kit. Now, as far as where to carry them, I only keep the one I'm using out. So the rest of these are going to go in one of my dry bags deeper in. One I can get to fairly easy, but not like if I think I'm going to finish up, I may have a second one inside of my deck bag, but otherwise they're all going to be lower down, stashed away where they're safe. You know, you want to protect your maps. That's your routing and everything. Like I said before, I do carry a backup GPS, and so that's in my dry bag, in my deck bag as well. But I prefer the maps just because I like to have something to look at that's zoomed out. I don't have to look at it closely. I don't have to stop paddling to look at it. It shows me where I'm going. It gives me enough. I don't need to know every 2 miles what's going on. I'm looking for the 300 mile, not the 2 mile segments. Some of the other things that I do is I go on the website and I print the tide charts out for the different times that I anticipate being there, and I give myself, as you can see here, I have a narrower window, but as the race goes on, I have a bigger and bigger window of more tides. More tide charts, so that you know, if I'm running a little behind or if it's not quite going the way I thought it was going to go, I still kind of know what the tides are doing. Closer to the race, I'll actually print these on waterproof paper, I've got waterproof paper, and I've got a laser printer that I have access to, so I can print these things out, and I don't have to worry about them getting wet, and I'll actually cut them down so that they're a more manageable size. And then I'll just have, I'll be able to flip through. I'll probably, I don't know if I'll staple them. I'll bind them together somehow, and then I'll be able to flip through them as the race goes on. I might just even, I don't know. I've laminated them before. Laminating works, but this waterproof paper is a lot nicer stuff. Now, one of the other charts that I find handy is this quick little chart I downloaded off the National Park Service's website for the Everglades National Park. And it just has the distances between each chickie. So if you're in the park, once you get into that part of the park, they're not that very far apart. And if you start to feel tired or whatever, then you know, oh, I've only got a certain distance to go to the next chickie. Most of them are within about 10 miles of each other at the most. There's some of them that are much closer than that. So this is a great reference tool. This is not to be navigated by, but it does tell you at a quick glance how far it is to the next place you can actually get off your board, because there's just really nowhere to get off your board in the Everglades if you're on the inside. Now if you're on the outside, you got beaches all the way down. There's like a million places to stop. So if the weather's conducive to staying on the outside, then I'll stay on the outside. But if it's anything like it was last year, I was more than happy to be on the inside and be out of the really brutal crosswinds. What you'll find is coming down past Naples, you have about 20 miles of exposed water. So by the time you get to Everglades City, last year I was pretty beat up and I didn't want to go outside anymore. It is an extra 40 miles to go through the Wilderness Waterway, but like I said, if the weather's bad, then that's pretty much your only choice. The next thing I want to go over is the Mackay speedometer. This is a unit by Velocitech. I'll try to turn it on here and see if it'll acquire a signal. I doubt it'll acquire a signal inside the shop here, but let's see if I can just turn it up where you can see the face a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, so it's got one button and it only displays 3 fields. Okay, the top field is going to be the time. I'm sorry, the mileage. The middle field is going to be your current speed, and the bottom field is going to be your elapsed time. So it's got one button. You turn it on. You wait. Oh, there it did get a signal. It probably will lose it again. But once you've gotten a signal, you can press the button, and it will start the stopwatch going. Okay, so you can see that it's accumulating time on the bottom. If you speed up or slow down, it's very, very sensitive. So I really like the Mackay model because it's way more sensitive than most of the other GPS-based models out there that have a dampening on them that prevents them from being as closely accurate as this is. The other thing nice about the Mackay, when you stop, you push the button, you stop. It's going to stop your timer. It's going to stop your accumulated mileage, and then in the middle here, it's going to flash in between maximum speed and average speed. The negative part about this unit is that you can't restart it. Once you restart it, it's going to go right back to 0, and you start back over from there. So this is not something that I use to keep track of my whole race kind of statistics, but it's a point-to-point kind of tool that's very helpful. The other thing that's helpful is I know how fast I'm going. So if I'm doing, my deal that I made with myself for this next EC is that if I'm doing more than 4.5 miles an hour, I'm not stopping. That's kind of, for me, I know if tide's pushing me, I'm doing anywhere from 5 to 5.5, and if it drops down to 4.5, then I'm starting to get out of the tide and I'm just paddling my regular pace. If it gets below 4, then I'm working against tide and it's time to take a break, because I'm gonna have to take a break anyway, and I might as well take a break when the tide is against me instead of when the tide is in my favor. So if I'm going 5 or more, I'm not stopping. That's just what works for me. Some people like to paddle until a certain time every day and then take a break, but for me, I'm living by the tides on this thing. One other cool thing about the Mackay is that when you charge it, it's a USB charge. You just take this little door off the back and you plug in your little mini USB cord there, same one that I use for my Android phone. So it's just one less cord I got to carry around. And this thing takes a couple hours to charge up, but it will last 40 hours on a charge. So I can either charge it a little bit every day, or I can charge it more every other day. Later on in another video, maybe I'll go over my electrical needs and use and how I'd go about achieving that supply. But I like this because it has such a long battery life. You don't have to monkey around with it all the time. The Garmin Fenix 5X. This is I think the best watch on the market for GPS watches right now. If I thought there was something better, I'd probably have it, honestly. What I like about this watch, trying to get in the middle here for you, there we go. What I like about this watch is that you can have it do analog or digital time. I prefer analog time just because I'm an old guy, and time for me really works if I just look at the hands. The numbers, for some reason, I'm just not a digital guy. You press the button over here once, it goes into your different modes. I've got it set up to be SUP mode is my priority mode. And so I press it and I press it again, then it's going to try to acquire a signal. And then once it's acquired a signal, I can hit start, and it will start accumulating my time. The thing I like about this is that, let me just do it right here. I'll start it, and then it's going. It's going to be my average speed and my cumulative speed. I don't know why the average speed went up so high there. I'm not moving at all, but anyways, once I stop it, it gives me the opportunity to save it. It gives me the opportunity to resume, so I can resume right away by pushing that button, or I can save it, or I can resume later. Resume later, I think, is awesome because this is what I use for the EC. When I get done for the day, I hit stop, and then I go down to resume later because I want to resume tomorrow. I want to pick up right where I left off and have it accumulate the whole race as one big event. Okay, that way later on when I'm doing my analytics, when I'm looking at my mapping, it's just one event for the whole trip. This will come into play with some other little fun things that I like to do with some videos and stuff like that. But the main thing is get a good GPS watch. I think that's more powerful. This thing lasts about 8 days, I think, on just battery. It lasts about 18 hours on GPS. You can charge it while you're paddling. That's pretty cool. And what else? Yeah, I think that's about it. It charges with a little cord that plugs in the back of the phone here. You don't have a big bracket or anything. It's just a small cord that plugs in, and it doesn't take much juice to charge it. And it actually charges in probably about an hour. It charges right back up to full again from being pretty low. So I charge this up every night in my tent, and that's the Garmin Fenix 5X. I think they have a new one out now, but this thing also has like mapping, but the mapping on it is so small I can't see it. It's worthless. The zooming and moving around on it are just pretty much impossible. I think if you're a cyclist, the mapping probably works pretty good because you can program in roads, but for what we're doing, there is no real good mapping software yet that I've found for GPS for water uses. So that's it on maps and routing. Again, it's the Top Spot maps. You go on their website and get them. You're going to need the 5. You're going to need Florida Bay, Upper Keys. You're going to need Everglades Park area. You're going to need 10,000 Island inshore area. You're going to need Charlotte Harbor area. And then you're going to also need Tampa Bay area fishing. If you have any other questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to receive updates on when I put up another video. Not sure exactly what the next one will be, but in the next couple days I'll release another video. So this is Scott Bay signing out, saying remember to paddle yourself to a better place today. And don't forget to visit my website at paddlepaddlepaddle.com.